Today's episode of the Bill Simmons Podcast, the 100th episode of the Bill Simmons Podcast, is brought to you by SeatGeek, our presenting sponsor, the only fan-friendly app for buying and selling tickets for sports and music. You use SeatGeek, Joe House?
I do use SeatGeek. Of course
Great,
I do.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Other sites have the nasty habit of showing you lower prices and charging you huge fees at checkout. At SeatGeek, the price you see is always the price you pay. Download the free SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Stamps.com. Stop relying on the post office. Buy and print official U.S. postage using your own computer and your own printer. Do you have your own computer and your own printer, Joe?
I have
House?
both of those things.
Great. You should sign up for Stamps.com. Use the promo code BS for a 4-week trial plus a $110 bonus offer. It includes postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, type in BS. Do you have HBO, Joe House?
I do have HBO.
Well, my HBO show is called Any Given Wednesday, and it launches on June 22nd, Wednesday, 10 o'clock.
Nice.
Yeah. We also have a new start time for After the Thrones on HBO Now. Do you have HBO Now, Joe House?
I do have HBO Now.
It's been moved up to 1 a.m. ET, late Sunday night, right after the West Coast airing of Game of Thrones ends. Sources say.
I'm in bed at 1 a.m.
Sources say.
Yeah.
Well, you're not always in bed because sometimes you might have indigestion. Sources say that apparently this week of Game of Thrones is an all-timer.
Really?
Yeah.
Last week was pretty good.
All-timer has been thrown around for this week.
I particularly enjoyed the ending of last week.
We can talk about that. And let's not forget about The Ringer. We are launching next month. Subscribe to our newsletter at theringer.com. You subscribe to our newsletter, Joe House?
Of course I do.
You can listen to podcasts like Channel 33, Keeping It 1600, The Watch, The Ringer NBA Show, The Ringer NFL Show. All of them are on the Ringer Podcast Network, as well as
Check House!
Check House, presented by Callaway. That's Joe House's golf podcast. We have 7 podcasts. I think we have the highest batting average of good podcasts of any podcast network.
You should
We're
think
7
that.
for 7.
You should think that.
We're batting 1,000.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm almost afraid to launch another one. We have 7 good ones. And speaking of podcasts, let's go.
Yeah. Clear enough for you? All right.
An in-person Wednesday rolling with Joe House, who
Keeping it 100.
we fed last night.
Yeah.
We went to Sugarfish, or we took Sugarfish takeout and watched basketball in my office, and we were hoping for a good game. And then Steven Adams, Ezeli just landed on his back, and Steven Adams got hurt, and then he said, "Today I'm fine, mate. I'm okay, mate.
Couple bumps and bruises, mate.
I'll be okay, mate." I didn't think the Thunder were the same after that happened. They need him. They need his energy.
They need him. They need his energy. They also need Russell Westbrook.
I didn't know Russell Westbrook was going to not show up, but
You know who
that
did
was a
know,
bummer.
by the way? Very happy to see on my little voyage out here to California, Juliet Littman. Juliet said to me, "I don't like Russ tonight. I think he's only going to be 17 or 18. I'm like, "Come on, Juliet. 30. I like it. Russ is going to go crazy. This is their chance to seize the series." Russ was not good last night.
He didn't have that alpha dog feel to him. I thought when Curry got going, Russ, at the very least, would do the, I'll try to match you and be either be great or a disaster.
And now
he was neither.
And now there's a narrative where, because Klay Thompson played him more this game than the previous game, and now Russ is 2 for 10 when Klay Thompson is guarding him. So now there's a narrative that Klay Thompson could shut down Russ. The thing that was so curious to me about Russ's performance last night, his game, his alpha dog comes from him pushing the ball, him going up the floor warp speed. You know, he's fastest or second fastest in the league. Got to give a little nod to my boy Johnny Walb.
So you're taking John Wall over Westbrook in a speed race?
It's neck and neck. I'm not ready to concede that race to Russell.
Okay.
But Russell finishes in a more explosive way than John Wall. That is for sure. We just didn't see it. We didn't see Russell taking the ball and running up court and creating Russell Westbrook type of offense. He wasn't generating offense through that kind of aggression last night. I don't know why.
I thought that they would. I believe them when they said they were going to come out and try it, and they thought game 2 was a must-win, all that stuff. And it turns out it wasn't totally a must-win. But they had a chance there to at least if they had gone toe to toe. Curry got hot, and I wanted somebody to step up, but Durant was trying. Durant was shooting well in the first half. He had a lot of turnovers in that game.
And the tech kind of took him out of it. It seemed like it took his head out of it, the tech that he got. The thing that
And yelling at F you at Deion Waiters. Did you see that?
they say
Vine?
that they're friendly that way. Those are the kinds of things they do with each other. That's part of their shtick.
I don't ever remember just yelling "fuck you" at you in a friendly way.
I don't know. I think maybe you have.
Maybe?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember that.
Girls or food or...
All right, so with Durant, I haven't loved how he played. I thought he was amazing in the second half of Game 4 San Antonio. Thought he was obviously fantastic in Game 6. But for the most part, hasn't shot threes well at all. Postseason, 6 threes a game. He's 29% from three. A lot of turnovers. 4 a game. He had 8 last night. He's got 13 in this series. They just seem sloppy to me. And I wonder, it's weird because Golden State has the same problem. Golden State's super sloppy with the ball for such an unbelievably efficient offensive team. And I just wonder, like, if this gets to a Game 7, is sloppiness going to be the thing that undoes one of these teams?
Undoes?
Undoes? What did I
one
say?
Of these teams? You said undoes.
Undoes? What am I? Dumbass. Undoes one of these teams.
Sloppy? I don't know about sloppiness. The thing that
Why don't you vehemently disagree with me then?
Well, I don't.
Why don't you tell me fuck you? Fuck you, Simmons. I don't agree with you.
It's not that. Rappaport owns F-Bomb Corner, by the way. I'm not. He's so destroyed it. He slayed F-Bomb Corner. I want to just stay off of it. I want to stay away from it.
Yeah, he bought F-Bomb Corner like Chris Sacca bought all that Twitter stock. He
bought it up. His
Corner.
Secondary.
It's like, wow, how did he own 18% of F-Bomb Corner? Who knows for sale?
He's got 90% of it, and there's not. I want to stay away from the remaining 10. I think the both teams have such a similar style of play that's incandescent. Offense is the thing that distinguishes them through the season. I know Golden State's defensive metrics, all the analytics support them as a top 5 defensive team, and that's because it's well founded. But they can get beat, right? They're compromised when they go up against good guards. Portland showed it. Boston showed it. So
I think they feel more beatable than they did 3 months ago. I still think they're going to win the title.
Oh, that's interesting. Because we haven't talked about Cleveland, who is now 9-0. Last time we talked, they were 8-0, and I liked it. Now they're 9-0, and I still like it.
I don't know what to make of Cleveland because the competition, the 3 best teams were in the West.
That's true.
Right? San Antonio would have easily been the second team in the East. OKC, Golden State, you look at the guys that were in last night's game. Klay Thompson's been the best player game in, game out in the entire playoffs. I don't think he's the best player in the playoffs, but I think he's been the best player of the playoffs.
That's interesting. He didn't have a great shooting game last night.
No, he didn't. I just like what he does. I think what he does defensively for them is so underrated. I mean, he's certainly been in the top 5. I think LeBron's been in the conversation.
You think he's had a better playoffs than Kyrie? Kyrie's had a pretty good playoffs.
Kyrie's on one end, though. He's a DH. I don't know. I just think if you look at most indispensable guys to their team, for all the stuff they've asked Klay to do, actually Draymond, you could say the same thing.
That's what I was going to say. Draymond might be
Klay
mad at you right
Draymond.
now. You're going to put Klay ahead of Draymond?
I just love the way Klay's playing.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess maybe I shouldn't decide on a number one. I think if you made an all-NBA first team for the playoffs, he's unquestionably the 2 guard.
Both of those guys would be on, Draymond and Klay, and I would put LeBron and Kyrie. And
you'd put Kyrie over Curry because he missed so many games?
Yeah, Curry missed games. And then the 5th is your choice of Russell or KD.
I think Russell's been a little better.
Who do you give more credit for the San Antonio series?
Well, the Game 5, well, it's tough because it vacillates. I was thinking, I've always wanted the NBA to have, you know how hockey has the 3 stars of the game? Number 3 star, number 2 star, number 1 star?
Yes.
I really wish they did that for NBA, and I wish we kept track of it because I would love to know just after the playoffs, like who is the best player in every playoff game.
You know what? You have a staff. You have people that let's just do it.
Because
have
game one,
people.
I would have given it to Westbrook, first star Westbrook, right?
First star Westbrook.
Game two, unquestionably Curry.
Unquestionably Curry.
But it would have just been fun to go through all the games. Like game 6 of Spurs OKC,
Yes.
I would have given it to Durant. I
First
would have given
star
game
goes-
4 Durant. Game 5 is easily Westbrook.
Yeah.
And you just go on down the line. Kawhi was...
Let's start doing this. Kawhi was game 1.
I do feel like somebody should be keeping track of this.
Well, so look, you're going to have a website, I hear.
Lillard had a couple first stars.
Yeah, sure he did. You're damn right he did.
LeBron got the Cavs. Like LeBron will be one game. Kyrie will be one game.
Kevin Love's
Love's had one.
Yeah, Kev's got one.
For the Celtics, like Isaiah had that one game, and then I don't know. It'd just be a fun thing to look back on. I'd love to know who's leading the league in first star games.
It's not a lot of characters.
What would you call it? A gold
stars
medalist?
Stars of the game.
Gold, silver, bronze?
Well, why do you have to change it? Stars of the game. First star to the overwhelming MVP of the game, and then a second star and a third star to recognize the contributions of all the dudes out there.
Yeah, I'm fine even just doing it 1 star.
You just want to do the gold star?
Yeah, or you like a star and a runner-up. But I'd be most interested because every game has a best guy. And that's what this series is going to come down to. Like, you had Westbrook game 1, although really nobody was the best player in that game. It was like Westbrook by default. Curry definitely game 2.
No,
Durant's going to have a game in game 3 or game 4. Durant will be the best player in one of those 2 games. You'll have a Draymond game.
We're agreed.
You'll have another Curry game. You'll probably have a full-fledged Westbrook Alpha Dog game. I still think this goes 7.
Hey, you've been saying that. I can't come up with a way to argue, and you know what? I really don't want to argue. I want this to go 7 because I want to watch all these games between these 2 teams.
That game yesterday felt like it was going to be really good, and then Curry started hitting threes. OKC got super lazy on defense, and unless Adams is going 110%, I don't think they could beat Golden State. Well, I hope he's healthy.
The 2 things that happened yesterday, and it was very encouraging to see him come back. And he was sort of effective. He moved up and down the court. We didn't say, oh, my God, he's limping, or oh, my God, he's holding his back. But the 2 things that happened yesterday, the game was neck and neck, and then Golden State closed out the second quarter on an 8-0 run, and then they came out in the third quarter and got hot. And I have no idea what was going on with the switching defense, and maybe that's why KD yelled "F you" at waiters.
At waiters, yeah.
The number of uncontested shots that Curry had in the third quarter, it's like the Warriors have played 85 games now. Maybe there's some tape of Steph Curry, and he ought not to be left alone under any circumstances.
If you were Cleveland, would you rather play OKC or Golden State?
Golden State, 1,000% Golden State
Over OKC.
Yeah, you want the rematch, and there's no they just won 73 games in the regular season.
Yeah,
that's who you want to go up against. That's the history show. You want to be up against. And by the way, think about that legacy for LeBron. If they win out, they sweep the East, right? They go in there 12-0, and I'm rooting for that for a couple of different reasons.
12-0 would be fun.
12-0.
Oh yeah, we have a vested interest in the Cavs going 12-0 now.
Oh yeah, we got a vested interest. Yeah,
there's a
Daddy.
plus 180 sweet bet.
Oh yeah.
After we lost that Spurs bet.
That was okay. That was a good bet.
Great odds, but we should have gone against it, and as usual,
should have been a little hedge.
We had the Spurs 10-1 last summer, and it never worked out.
There was an easy hedge to make before the OKC Spurs series started, and we didn't do it.
Yeah,
because we're dumb.
We're dumbasses.
Yeah, we are dumbasses. But think about all the narratives. If Cleveland sweeps through 12-0, LeBron, this will be his 7th consecutive appearance in the finals,
which is one of the great stats.
Unbelievable.
I don't even think. I guess Russell was obviously in 7 straight. Probably Sam Jones, all those guys who were on the 56 Celtics through Wilt made it in 67. So if you go after 67, I'm not sure anyone's done that. 7 straight. Magic didn't do it. Because you know why Magic didn't do it? Because he didn't show up for the 86 finals.
It's again.
We sent him an invitation. He RSVP'd. Yes, I'm plus 11. Didn't show up.
You always got to get in that ass. You're always in that ass.
We sent him an invitation.
The thing that I think of when we talk about historical legacy stats like that is, again, what David Stern did to Michael Jordan, interrupted that run for the Bulls because we might have had, could have been 6 or 7 for the MJ.
I wonder if the 94 Knicks could have beaten them if MJ came back, just from the attrition on the bodies of the Bulls from Game 7 in 90 Eastern Finals, then finals. You're talking like 400 games over the course of 3.5 years. And at some point, they would have had injury, bad luck with one of those guys.
Yeah, that's what's so interesting and I don't know, compelling about LeBron. He changed teams, and he is now, I think it's legit to posit, you can make the argument that this is the best team he's played on perhaps in his whole career. I think you can make the argument.
I still think that 2013 Miami team.
I know. I don't disagree.
Wade, for me, Wade's in the top. I don't know. I did my book when I had the levels, and there was the Pantheon, and then the level right below it.
Yes,
Wade's on that level for me now.
Sure.
I saw our friend Hershey on Monday, and we were kind of redoing the top 30 just for fun.
Oh,
and
sorry I missed it.
Wade has crept into the top 30 pretty easily now. He's somewhere between. I'd have to really look at it and look all the numbers, but he's in that 23 to 27 range, and nobody that LeBron is playing with right now is on that level.
I don't disagree one bit. It's just that this Cavs team has waves of players.
They do. I'm cautious with them.
Sure.
I really think the East is terrible, and,
Yeah.
and I think I was on this Boston radio station, Toucher and Rich, and we were talking about Durant. Everyone in Boston thinks Durant's coming.
What?
And I know.
What
Boston,
is coming?
Boston's the best.
Effing Boston is the best. So absurd.
And with OKC, if they had lost to San Antonio in Game 5, I really think we had a chance at Durant because I think it would have combusted. And
I'm so surprised to hear you say that.
well, but here's why I think remove Boston out of it, right? Boston and Miami, because if Bosch retires, Miami's going to have all this cap space. If I'm a free agent like Durant, and I don't think I can win with the team I have, I want to go in the East. It's a clear path to the finals. I'm just looking at the Cavs, and that's it. Who else is in my way?
I don't disagree with the thesis.
It's a no-brainer. I'm going to Miami or I'm going to Boston. I have a chance to put together a title team and be in the Final Four every year.
It's a fun hypothetical, but they won that game, and now
They
they're
did.
they're in the Western Conference Finals.
But
He's
if
going to
Golden State
resign.
kicks our ass the next 3 and all of a sudden it goes bad and they're yelling at each other like Boston, that's our only chance.
The only way that it goes bad in that way is if one of these important guys gets hurt and they get, there's not going to be now all of a sudden some kind of internal dissension.
No, I mean,
and all
I'm
things
already in the
going-
record.
I
think
know
it's
how you're
going
dreaming.
7.
Yeah, right, exactly. I
think-
it's okay to dream. I've told you before, it's okay to dream. You dream.
Durant would be he would really have to want to leave if he didn't just do a 1-year extension.
Right. He's going to do a 1-year extension. We've been saying it since October.
You know what I found out, and I look forward to this being a transcript and multiple blog posts with people getting traffic from it. This is great. So apparently, and it's never really been activated before because nobody's ever been in a cap position to do this, but the cap is going up to such a crazy amount this summer.
Yes.
So the Warriors, this is what I heard. The Warriors, if they let Barnes go and they let Azili go, they could give the extra cap money to Steph. They could pay him a year early.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't. Nobody knows about this rule, but it's in the cap. It's like buried in there. It's in the whole CBA.
Yeah, this is one. I'm gonna
He's
tweet
in the
my
last year of his thing. They could literally just give him a raise next year over spending the money on someone else.
I'm gonna tweet at Nate Duncan. I want some cap, insider.
Well,
cap
Larry
on it.
Coon. We need Larry Coon to
Larry
break it
Coon's
down. Hey,
another
Larry
one.
Coon, break this down for us because this rule exists. Somebody swore to me that. And the Warriors don't want anyone to know about it because then if Steph Curry finds out, they're like, I won't get paid.
Well, they should pay him. I mean, for the love of God, he gave them a title. He gave them 73.
I don't feel bad for these guys. Curry's going to make $40 million off the court this year.
I'm not talking about feeling bad or anything. I'm talking about getting paid what he's due. And if there's room under the cap and his employer can reward his excellent performance, then the employer should do so.
Are you ready for a world in which Harrison Barnes signs a 4-year deal for for like $120 million with the Lakers.
You forget we were in that world 15 years ago.
Not like this.
Juwan Howard signed a 7-year, $124 million deal with the Miami Heat
To ruin your basketball
So
team.
you just mentioned a number for Harrison Barnes. There's not, the numbers are irrelevant. They ebb and flow. They constrict and expand based on the deals the league's able to cut, and I don't care.
So I think the Lakers get Barnes.
Oh.
I think somebody overpays Ezeli.
Oh.
And the Warriors make a run at Durant.
Okay.
And if it doesn't work out, I think they just give the money to Steph.
Interesting. They still need 2 players, by the way. But
the problem is, and people have talked about it, but I don't think the average basketball fan really understands what's going to happen this summer. Dion Waiters, for example. Kind of like Waiters. I'm on the Waiters Island.
You and Zach have been on Waiters Island. You're alone on there, by the way. At least I'm not on that island.
He's been playing hard in the playoffs. I like how he's playing.
Congratulations. It's about time.
He's probably going to make between like $12 and $15 million a year. Somebody's going to sign him for between $60 and $80 million to play for their basketball team.
It's just a function of the money that's available because the league has been so successful, and all credit to the guys that paved the way for this. And they hit a great moment in broadcasting rights, sports rights history, and signed this super rich deal. Which
I'm glad you believe that. There's a long and storied history of great NBA teams screwing themselves up by overpaying somebody who wasn't as good as 1 or 2 of their best players.
Oh, I live in Washington.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with this this technique you're describing.
It will happen 1 or 2 times this summer where somebody on a team is going to get a ridiculous contract and it's going to completely screw up that team. It will happen. I
can't
promise
wait.
you.
It's one of my favorite dynamics every
year.
For
instance, let's say Barnes says, "I'll stay. I want a 5-year deal for like $150," and all of a sudden he's making more. And Harrison Barnes is making way more money than Draymond Green and Steph Curry. And everyone's like, "No, this is great. We need to keep Harrison." There's no way Draymond Green is going to be okay with that. He's too competitive. He won't like that. He just won't. Deep down, it's going to bother him.
So that's interesting for a lot of teams. That's going to happen in Washington because they're going to sign Bradley Beal to an extension.
And he'll make more money than John Wall. And it's going to drive John Wall crazy.
Yes, it already makes John Wall crazy that Reggie Jackson makes as much money as he does.
Yeah.
It's going to make him very crazy.
This is a real thing for these dudes. They measure themselves by all NBAs and respect and seeding in All-Star Weekend on Saturday, how close they are to the best dunks and who makes the most money in their team. It's a real thing. They're fucking competitive. That's why they're great at basketball, because they're competitive guys.
Yes. Fascinating.
I remember when I re-signed with ESPN and then they gave Riley that ludicrous contract. God bless him for getting as much money as he could get, but
absolutely,
in the moment, I was really bummed out. So I can't even imagine how Steph Curry's going to feel when Harrison Barnes triples his salary.
They are going to let Harrison go his way
to the Lakers,
wherever Harrison wants to go.
Are you excited for Mike D'Antoni to coach James Harden? Because that's in play.
That is incredible. I bet they get along really well. I think D'Antoni is a what do you want to call him? He's a whisperer, but I don't know. How would you characterize Harden? A scorer whisperer?
It's the worst defensive player of any good player in the league with one of the worst defensive coaches in the history of the league.
And they're going to
join forces.
A match made in heaven.
It's going to be great. Somebody's going to score 110 points on them.
And Dwight's
a single player.
And Dwight will be gone. So
Dwight will be gone. Dwight's going to end up on Dallas.
You know, it does.
He'll end up in the rejuvenation program that Dallas has put together.
Does
because that's what I'm calling it, a rejuvenation program.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm winking at you.
It is fate. Rejuvenation. It is fate that he ends up in Dallas.
It's great.
It really is. And Cube's history with signing washed up centers is unparalleled.
He's not quite washed up yet, and
he's close enough.
They're going to throw him in the Darren Williams laundry machine and let him bounce around in there for a little bit. He'll come out and he'll look great.
They're going to put anything inside that machine?
I don't know, probably some detergent.
Something to freshen him up a little bit? A little freshener?
It's going to be awesome, and I think he's going to sign there. The lottery we should talk about quickly. So we got to commercial. I mean, we did this. It was, I don't know if you guys saw it. I was on Facebook Live and we did Periscope and I had a bunch of people in my office and we just had put the cameras on us watching the lottery. And when it gets to like, you've been there, you won the John Wall lottery.
Yes.
You want to get to the commercial.
Yep. That's
the
right.
commercial means top 3.
If your name hasn't been called and you make it to the commercial, things start to happen.
They do the lottery for the first 3 spots of the draft. So if you get to the commercial, you know that your team won one of the first 3 spots. They actually won. They won. One of the ping pongs went their way. And at that point, who knows? It could be anybody. So it goes to 5 for the Celtics. Nope.
Yeah. Nope.
4, I'm just petrified. I don't want to see the Celtics and I want to see the Lakers. And the Suns popped up and I was like, I didn't even know what to think for a second. And then you realize, oh, we've made it. There's two kind of can't miss guys in this draft allegedly, and we have a chance here. Commercial, waiting, panicking, come out, and somehow we got the 3rd pick. What are the odds of the team, of the order going exactly how it was supposed to go?
I wonder, I'm sure somebody's written about what the odds are, but it was kind of amazing. It went exactly chalk. What is your team going to do? That's what I'm interested in.
So I've had 2 days to think about it.
Yes.
Tell me who doesn't make this trade.
These are always my favorites.
Yeah. The Celtics trade the number 3 pick and the number 23 pick with Avery Bradley to the Chicago Bulls for Jimmy Butler and the number 14 pick.
Huh.
So we move up from 23 to 14. We swap them Bradley for Butler, and they give us the 3rd pick. And they end up with the 3rd pick, Avery Bradley, and number 23. That's my offer, Chicago.
I'm not sure they take it. Because what in the hell is Chicago going to do? It doesn't seem like it's the moment to hit the destructo button. Because Butler's still young. And where is he? He just signed that contract. So they have him under contract at a good price.
If I were them, I would dump Derrick Rose's contract. I don't think he's ever going to be healthy.
I agree with that. That's one important starting point. Joe Noah's got to go somewhere other than Chicago.
I think he ends up in Atlanta.
That makes sense, too. That's very cool, right?
Nice little Al Horford reunion. Yeah, I like that.
That would make Atlanta 3% more interesting, which would bring them all the way up to 8% interesting.
One other scenario I was thinking for OKC if they didn't win and Durant came back. Oh, you never gave me my thoughts on the Butler trade. Hold on, let me do this and then give me the Butler thing.
All right.
OKC trades Ibaka to Minnesota for the 5th pick.
Yeah, I like that one, by the way.
They sign Al Horford and Joakim Noah. And they put him with Billy Donovan. So it's basically Al Horford, Joakim Noah, Steven Adams, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, all those dudes.
Pretty cool.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
There's no chance of it happening.
No, I know.
I want Al Horford and Joakim Noah to be reunited somewhere. I hope it happens.
That would be cool.
Boston would be a nice place for both of them.
And while we're at it, Corey Brewer's got to be available, right? He's out there somewhere.
So available. He's here. Corey, come on in.
I just don't think
of the
I think
Butler
Chicago
trade.
says no because they're not. They just brought in Hoiberg. He's had 1 year with a team that is in transition, but you can't move your best player. When did he sign that deal? The extension was last year, right? We don't disagree.
Something bad has happened there, though, with him.
Something bad has happened there.
They have bad juju.
There is bad juju. I don't know what it is. I don't have any insights into it. It was evident from the way they played.
Here's the other trade I think could happen. I think the Celtics are going to trade the pick. If I had to bet my life on it, I think they're going to trade it to Philly for Jahlil Okafor. And I think it makes sense for Philly because they have too many big dudes. Ben Simmons can't really shoot either. I don't understand how he makes sense with Okafor, Embiid, and Noel. It's just ridiculous. They need to do something anyway. Trade Okafor to the Celtics for 3. You take Ben Simmons at 1, and you take either Murray or Chris Dunn or Buddy. Probably Chris Dunn or Jamal Murray or Chris Dunn. You take one of those guys at 3.
Well, and
now you have a basketball team.
They need then
you go spend a lot of money on somebody.
They need a point guard. I mean,
yeah, go get Chris Dunn. Go overpay for a shooting guard. You put Ben Simmons there. You still have Embiid. You bring Saric over from Philly. That's a basketball team. Like I think that makes much more sense than keeping Okafor. And for the Celtics, I think Okafor would be the 3rd pick in this draft.
the whole thing hinges on Embiid's foot. My man hasn't played competitive basketball in 2.5 years now,
And he was like in Qatar.
It's just a strange. That's a documentary. I was going to call it a 30 for 30, but you know.
Do you
What the strange journey of Joel Embiid from the moment he was drafted to the October of 2016? What has he been doing? What's been going on with him?
It's like one of the great documentaries that nobody will make. So, out of those two, you think neither of those trades are realistic? Am I going to be stuck with the third pick?
I'm not dismissing the Philly trade. I just think they need to hold on to Okafor until they've confirmed to their own satisfaction that Joel Embiid can play basketball again, which seems like still a little bit of ways away. I mean, I keep seeing these reports of progress and he'll be ready and all that kind of optimism, but I'm raising my eyebrows a little bit over here.
Would you trade 3rd, 16, 23rd, 31, and 35 and Amir Johnson for Boogie Cousins?
Of course I would. Yes, of course. Yes.
You don't think there's been too much stink on Boogie? I think there's been too much stink.
I don't think that.
6 years of complete dysfunction.
Yeah, well, that's welcome to Sacramento. I mean, Kevin Johnson, by the way.
The irony of you thinking the Celtics should trade for Boogie Cousins for how long we've known each other and the type of women you were once attracted to.
What?
You were attracted to the Boogie Cousins of women.
I've been happily married for 10 years.
No, I'm saying way back.
I know, way back when.
That's you and I can say Boogie Cousins. That was your mentality.
I did love a lot of Boogie Cousins back in the day.
You did. You loved your boogies.
My boy, Brad Stevens, if there's any coach in the league that is a crazy person whisperer, he rehabilitated
Isaiah, Evan Turner.
Yeah, no, but before that even crazier. And he was in Washington. God, I'm blanking on him.
Chris Humphries?
No. The guard. And he has a funny nickname.
Jordan Crawford.
Yeah,
we did.
Jordan.
We did say Jordan Crawford.
You got something of value for Jordan Crawford because of Brad. I mean, if he can bring down Crawford, then he can handle Boogie.
House, you love to eat so much.
I do. That's true.
Once upon a time, we created the House Eats video series for you on Grantland.
You did that. It was so fun.
And I know you love to eat takeout.
I love takeout.
Yesterday we ordered sugarfish.
Takeout.
And you had 2 Nizawas. And then you had a whole 10 other crab rolls and you ate a whole bunch of stuff and you were still hungry and you asked if there was a burger place near your hotel.
It was a sushi feast and sometimes I'm a little hungry afterwards.
Well, what if you stopped wasting money on expensive takeout?
Yeah.
And what if you just signed up with Blue Apron?
It's kind of
Blue
a good
Apron
idea.
has been mailing food to my house, and my wife has been cooking it, and it's delicious. For less than $10 per meal, Blue Apron will deliver you all the fresh ingredients you need for a delicious and healthy home-cooked meal. They have the highest standards for ingredients. They built a community of home chefs that has no rival. Here's some of the meals available in May House. Middle Eastern chicken and chickpea soup with pita croutons. Mm-hmm. Crispy cod and cabbage slaw tacos.
Oh.
With pepita, pineapple, and avocado salsa.
Yeah.
And then pan-seared pork chops with 2 cheese mashed potatoes and sauteed spinach. Right now, you can get your first 2 meals for free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/BS. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. And since we're talking about some of our favorite sponsors, hey, Callaway, thanks for sponsoring the Shack House podcast.
Oh, wow.
You did 2 last week. You did the Players Championship preview, and then you did the Players Championship postgame.
Yeah, we did.
And this is the time for Shack House because U.S. Open's coming up.
Yeah, we have.
This is golf. We're in the golf stretch now.
Yeah,
golf matters now.
And not just that, we're in a season where the schedule is highly compressed because they're squeezing in the Olympics in August. For the first time in 80 years, there will be golf in the Olympics. I'm sure people are going bananas for it. But all of the majors will be done before the Olympics. So
right.
it's an incredible stretch coming up here. And then we have the Ryder Cup after the Olympics. So, yeah, it's a great time to be a golf fan.
And the reason you're in L.A. is because Callaway decided they would fly you here because they wanted to fit you for equipment and put you on a bunch of Callaway videos. You're becoming like a Callaway guy. I love it.
I'm deep. I'm Callaway deep.
I love it. I already loved
doubt.
Callaway, but now that they've adopted you, I love Callaway more than just about anyone in my life other than my wife and kids.
Well, let me tell you about a Callaway product that has me extraordinarily excited. And I was not there's no script here. We haven't been prompted to talk about this. They came out with all blacks. They have all blacks this week. They launched it. You can pre-order them. They're all blacks, Apex and Apex Pros, I think. And the shafts, the grips, the irons themselves, all blacks. Do you think that there's any chance in the world that Joe House is not going to go all black?
There's 100%.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
People thought you were black on the podcast for 5 years. Of course you're doing the All Blacks. So Callaway, thanks for sponsoring the Shack House podcast. It is doing very well. All of our podcasts are crushing it on iTunes. Thanks to everybody that's listening. Thanks for spreading the word for us. And we couldn't be happier with our podcast network.
Started at the bottom. Now we're here.
And speaking of podcasts, one of our original OG BS Report guests back in the day, now the BS Podcast, we're going to call him right now. He's finally out of his emotional coma. Maybe we're going to call Jacko. He's waiting for us.
Yeah, started at the bottom. Now the whole crew's here.
Hello.
Johnny.
What's up, buddy?
I'm here with House.
Yeah.
Hi, House.
Yeah, Johnny.
What's up, baby?
We just
This
did.
is a good thing because, people always claim that House and I sound exactly alike, so this is definitive proof that we're two different people.
People are amazed that you know each other, and I'm like, are you kidding? They've seen each other probably naked. They know each other so intimately.
My favorite thing is on Twitter, anytime you come on, Johnny, and folks want to get in that ass a little bit about your political point of view, I get a lot of tweets at me about, jam it up your ass, Republican asshole, that kind of stuff.
Well, now Johnny's like he's wandering the earth like David Carradine in Kung Fu 50 years ago. He's a man with no affiliation to anything.
He did renounce. You renounced on Twitter. Was it an official resignation?
I did.
You renounced?
I did renounce in it, and that's only really sealed the deal for me in the past couple of weeks with Reince Priebus and the rest of the Republican establishment bowing and scraping before that orange asshole who's going to be the nominee of the party and take it down in flames. So it's good to watch it all blow up from a distance and not really be concerned about it anymore.
I mean, the two things I never thought in my life you would turn on, other than me, were the Yankees and the Republican Party. And now you're just wandering Connecticut, a man without a party.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed.
We joked about this last year happening. You advised us to bet on Rubio. We did.
Right.
Sal and I put a big bet on Marco Rubio before we realized that maybe it was a bad idea to bet on somebody who got nervous during debates.
Just hold on 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. I have to go deal with something. Hang on 1 second, okay?
All right. We're going to talk among ourselves. Yeah. We're calling Johnny at work, so he has to.
He's got business. What was interesting? That was not his usual complex litigation. This is John.
He's on the rise, man.
He's moved up in the ranks.
I think he's forming a third party.
Is he sitting on the bench? Is that why he had to go away right now?
I think
he has a ruling to make.
I think he might be a Supreme Court justice possibility if the other guy falls through.
Well, Trump put out 10 names or 12 names yesterday. Maybe Johnny's in the 13 to 15 slot as a contrarian pick.
Was one of them Omarosa? Who are the names? Was Vince McMahon on there?
I didn't recognize any of them, but I'm not, a master of the conservative the bench.
I did 5.5 hours with Mike Francesa on Monday, and there was a 10-minute stretch where he talked about why he thought Trump was going to make for a good president. I just stayed silent. I didn't really know what to do.
Well, New Yorkers, there is a strong sentiment among New Yorkers who have observed him get public things done, public works that could not get done. Trump intervened and got those things done. So I understand that. I heard the Francesa bit.
I get it. So why did he have to offend so many people?
I don't have any answers.
That's the part I don't get.
You're not going to have me come up with any answers as to what the point is of the wall and keep the Muslims on our list and all that other kind of stuff.
Did you get excited when Chris Sacca predicted that Mark Cuban was going to run for president?
He knows things, right? Hey, it's Johnny.
Johnny, we were just talking about whether Mark Cuban would make for a good president or not.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. Like these never Trump people were out looking for a candidate, and they were like, well, we have one crazy billionaire, so maybe that's what the people want, is like a billionaire that tweets late at night, so we need one of our own. I didn't understand that at all. Like, I thought that they would go out and get, like, you know, get Romney or, you know, get Paul Ryan or get this guy Ben Sass, who's a senator from Nebraska. But the Mark Cuban rumors were shocking to me.
The Ben Sass, that one kind of gained some steam over the last couple of weeks.
Right? Yeah, because he's been like a fervent never Trump guy and like gone against the party, even though he's a senator, and said like Trump is unfit to be president and doesn't want him anywhere near the Oval Office. So he's been like a rare profile and courage in this whole thing. So people have hopes for him. So
what happens in Cleveland in less than, I guess it's 2 months away. We're 2 months
July,
away. Yeah, what happens? Tell us what happens.
I don't know. I think it's going to be like a big like Vegas extravaganza with Trump there. I mean, I think there'll be showgirls and a lot of gold plating, and there's rumors he's going to give a speech every single night and whip up his crazy crowd and scream about the wall and, you know, scream about whatever conspiracy theories he has in his head at the moment and, you know, call Hillary crooked Hillary, and it's going to be a fiasco.
Would you have rather...
And then he's going to get nominated. I mean, there's no, you know, I had hopes for a brokered convention, and then Cruz got killed in Indiana, and he's, you know, got out. He's not going to understand. He didn't see a path to victory. I mean, he was hoping that Trump, you know, the first ballot, Trump didn't get 1237, and then on the second ballot, people weren't beholden to him, and they turned for a conservative alternative, and they say, well, they look at the polls, and if Trump was getting murdered in the polls, they would be like, we can't nominate a guy to get murdered. So, but Cruz folded up his tent, and that's all she wrote.
Would you have rather Trump became the Republican nominee or the owner of the Yankees, if you had to pick?
Wow. I think I'd rather him as the owner of the Yankees, because basically Steinbrenner kind of was Trump. I've already listed Trump.
That's true.
That's good. That's patriotic of you, too. You'd rather have the Yankees burn to the ground than the country.
Than the Yankees.
It's good.
I've seen the Yankees win the World Series. I don't want to see my country end up as like the Great Depression with riots and civil wars and, you know, the dollar worth nothing. So, yeah, I'd rather him run the Yankees into the ground.
That is true. What are the differences between Steinbrenner and Trump, other than like the offensive stuff Trump said, but just from like an egomaniac, like center of attention type of force of personality thing? They were similar.
This first occurred to me when, in late March, there was a Mike and the Mad Dog reunion at Radio City Music Hall. And leading up to that, they played, like, their greatest hits on the way. So one day I was driving home from work, and they had an interview with Steinbrenner from, like, 91 or 92, the nadir of the Yankee years. And so Francesa was kind of raking him over the coals about mistakes the Yankees had made and terrible trades and firing managers after 3 weeks and everything else. And Steinbrenner sounded exactly like Trump sounds now in this campaign, where he like deflected blame for anything bad that happened. It was always somebody else's fault. Everything was good he was responsible for.
Right.
He was like, you know, Francesa's like, well, you know, you drove Lou Piniella away and he hates you. And he's like, no, Piniella loves me. And I called Marge Schott. She's wonderful. And I gave him a wonderful recommendation. And I'm like, my God, he sounds just like Trump in this campaign. It's really scary. It must be a thing for, like, you know, New York egomaniacs with billions of dollars.
How would you compare Donald Trump Jr. to Hank Steinbrenner?
Well, I don't know. I don't know which one's Hank and which one's Hal. I think Eric Trump, he may be Hal. He seems like kind of the loser in the family.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then, well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess maybe Hank is Donald Jr. because that was the firstborn. But I think unlike Steinbrenner, like, you know, Hank wasn't allowed to really run the Yankees. Hal took over. He was kind of the brains of the operation. I'm not sure that. And that Donald Jr. might be the brains of the younger generation to the extent there is any.
What do you got, House?
The Washington Post, actually had a very nice treatment of the two Trump boys. They didn't really talk about Ivanka very much, but they as their own men, and had a nice little interview with them. It's in today's paper. I was actually kind of impressed. I was impressed. You know, what it talked about was how they were raised by their mother, and they went to the Czech Republic for summers, and over there they kind of learned from their grandparents. They got a certain grounding. They learned how to hunt. There was no like television in the place that they visited, so I had a little bit of it was an eye-opening moment for me with the Trump boys.
They're gonna have to learn. I was gonna say those hunting skills are gonna come in handy during our Civil War. When everyone has to get their own food.
I will say this. this. Like, I've seen the daughter, Ivanka.
Yeah.
Ivanka or Ivana? Ivanka, I guess.
Yeah.
Ivana was the wife. Ivanka's the daughter.
Right.
I've seen her on TV, and she's fairly impressive, basically, and, like, she has more brains than her father and is better spoken. Like, I'd feel more comfortable with her as the candidate, frankly, than him.
Yeah, I
So,
think
to the extent he had anything to do with raising them, like, that's one plus in his favor, but I'm not sure how much he did.
I can't believe we're getting into here are the positives about Trump, but I mean, one of the things is his kids did turn out pretty well. Like, you got to hand it to him.
Yeah.
And he has done a couple really smart business things over the years, the USFL not being one of them.
Well,
But
I to be fair, let's give credit to the mom. I'm not sure we should give Donald credit. The story says he was pretty much like, he would check in once in a while. Oh, school's over. Come down to the office. Come see me.
it sounds like me. Part of me wished we had 4 kids because I think it would have been fun to have the one kid that all these rich families have that the Fredo basically, that's just kind of
Right.
home till they're 42. And then I realized like that might just be my son.
You
I might have
you already
accomplished
your
it in 2
Fredo.
kids. Yeah. My
You
son
might not have to have 4 to have Fredo.
at the soccer game on Saturday, my son is 8.5. He had a hole in his shirt at my daughter's soccer game. There's hundreds of people there. And my son's like, Dad, watch this. And does the Hulk Hogan, just rips his shirt off and is
Nice.
shirtless the rest of the soccer game. And I'm like, he really might be living home till he's like 43.
Why did he do that?
I don't know. He's 8.5. It's not like he's 4.
You're right. This is what I mean.
And then the ice cream man showed up and he did this dead-on imitation of Eddie Murphy's ice cream man routine, which apparently he started on Sirius, which I blame my wife. But started going, ice cream, the ice cream man is coming. And people were just like, is this kid like for real? Is this an actor? Are they hitting cameras? That's my son.
Well,
so I might have accomplished it.
I can't believe we've now devolved into like Kathy Lee and talking about our kids, but I'll join in too and do
Please
that
do.
at the age we are now. So on Monday, I was the chaperone on my 10-year-old daughter's 4th grade field trip to the home of the Pilgrims, Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Yes.
So that required me to be on a bus for 5 hours, 2.5 hours each way, with 40-odd 4th and 5th graders. And these 9 and 10-year-old boys are completely insane. Like, when I got off that bus, I would have like started taking heroin. Like, alcohol wasn't strong enough because the PTSD I had for being on a bus with these boys that are completely out of control. Completely out of control.
And that's all boys, Johnny. That's all little boys.
Oh my God. They are crazy. Now I'm young enough to remember being like on field trips in like 5th and 6th grade. I'm like, we were never that crazy. We might have screwed around. We weren't angels, but like these boys are crazy. I came home and talked to my wife, and I'm like, I said, I'm like this old guy, like, get off my lawn. I'm like, I think it's the video game. It's the video game. We weren't like that. So it may not just be your son. I just think it's like young boys are like getting crazier or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the best way
It's insanity.
I've had this conversation with all of our friends. Every friend I've had who's had a boy at some point thought there was something seriously wrong with them, and you have to have this. Oh no, don't worry, it'll even out.
I mean, I have a 5.5-year-old. I feel like I need to chime in a little bit here. He's in the pull his pants down at every moment stage. As soon as I walk in the door, his pants are down and his ass is in my face.
Right,
Daddy, I'm gonna rub my ass on you. He says his ass. I said, no, son, you can't
That's
say
so
ass.
dumb.
What is wrong with you?
they hit 6 and they become like a little bit less dumb, and then from like 6 to 9, it's kind of they're half dumb. I think at some point it levels out. As soon as they get interested in girls, I think it finally maybe levels out a little bit. Wait,
That's it.
Johnny, since we're here, Yankees quickly.
They're awful. That's all. No comment. No, they're terrible. And, I had hopes that maybe they could be competitive or be decent this year, just given their pitching. But Severino, who's a great prospect, has been awful.
Yeah.
And, the other option, if they weren't going to be good, is they just have to ride out these bad contracts. They have to ride out Sabathia's contract, and they have to ride out Teixeira's contract and A-Rod's contract next year. And then they'll have some money to play with. And then, sorry, House, they're going to go make a $500 billion 10-year offer to Bryce Harper. And,
Makes me
see
very
what
unhappy.
they can do.
Very unhappy.
Johnny.
I love their bullpen. I mean, their bullpen was everything we thought it would be and more, with Chapman and Betances and Miller. So that's been great, but everything else has been awful.
Johnny, I have an announcement to make, and you're part of it.
Yes. Oh,
we're launching the Ringers MLB show next week, and you and I are hosting the first one.
Awesome.
Yeah,
This is exciting.
yeah, we already have the Ringers NBA show and the NFL show, and we're gonna also have a baseball show, and we are just gonna do it by committee for a little while until a person that we're waiting to hire is going to join the staff. And so House is going to get to talk Nats with somebody. Who do you want to talk Nats with, House?
Maybe Mallory, because she's.
Oh, Mallory would be good. You could talk Nats and Orioles.
She's got a Phillies thing and an Orioles thing, two teams that I hate. I've come to hate. I hate the Orioles 10 years ago, and I hate the Phillies now.
We're gonna have Fennessy and Sam Shuby talking about the Mets, all this stuff. But next week we're gonna go old school Red Sox Yanks because I really like this Red Sox team. It's one of the most likable Red Sox teams we've had. And Johnny, this Ortiz season, to watch him do this, 40 years old.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
Just
Some kind of a miracle.
naturally being awesome like this, and the guy he took care of his body. He stayed in shape, and it's fucking incredible to watch. Really is. It's incredible.
Really one for the ages. It's really a better living through chemistry.
You know who I heard was a pen pal of his? I heard that Peyton Manning's wife and Poppy are pen pals.
There's never been any evidence that he did anything.
You heard that, Johnny? They mail things to each other.
Did you guys ever read the Mitchell Report or what it was about? It was just people that tested negatively for some sort of substance. Like it could have been amphetamines. It could have been Sudafed. It could have been anything. We don't know what it was. Smear campaign, just like Tom Brady. Johnny, have you ever been more scared of a Red Sox player than David Ortiz?
No, that's the truth. No.
Okay, because Francesa said the same thing.
There's been guys that killed the Yankees over the years. George Brett, Edgar Martinez. They could never get them out, but Ortiz has been the scariest guy in my lifetime as a Yankees fan. The guy you don't want up in any situation. Certainly a big situation. Yeah, it's brutal.
Before you go, do you have any Mike Francesa questions for me?
How many Diet Cokes did he drink during the course of the day?
He only had 2, and I made fun of him about it. I was like, I became his caffeine for the day. He was so happy to have a live body in there. He's been
desperate for one.
Yeah, it was almost like the dude in Lost who was trapped in the cave. What was that guy's name? The guy with the accent, Desmond. He was in there. He had to reset the clock every year for years and years, and then he finally saw people, and he almost didn't know how to react.
Yeah.
Like, Francesa's been in that studio just taking dumb calls for ever since Dog left. He was so happy to have a back and forth with somebody. It took him like 2.5 hours just to remember how to have a back and forth.
It's true. He did have 10 words to every one of yours. He was,
but the last 2 hours became a real radio show.
Right. And I don't mean that as a criticism.
He was so used to just pontificating.
Right.
And so I just kind of laid back and waited for him to figure it out again. And then we had like an awesome NBA playoff segment. We did like 20 minutes on the playoffs, and we were arguing. It was back and forth, bringing up things. And I don't know. I know it was a better financial situation for him to do it alone, but I still think the guy's great at radio, and he's good at back and forth. So,
well, here's why the world is funny. Here's an ironic story. I was on the aforementioned chaperone field trip on Monday, and so I was bummed out because I wanted to listen to you on Francesa. And so I'm on the bus, and there's a little kid there, and he's wearing a Kevin Durant Oklahoma City Thunder shirt and an Oklahoma City Thunder hat. And the kid says, he's talking to somebody, and he goes, "Yeah, big game tonight, OKC. I'm on the OKC train," or whatever. And I go, "Oh, yeah, you like the Thunder?" And he goes, "Yeah, my uncle's the coach." And I said, "Your uncle's Billy Donovan?" And he says, "Yeah." And I go, "Oh, that's cool." And so the kid looked like Billy Donovan. His uncle, he was dedicated. His uncle's the coach of the Thunder. And then I get off the bus at 5 o'clock, and I get in my car, and I'm driving my daughter home, and I turn on Mike and the Mad Dog, and there you were bashing Billy Donovan as a coach.
There it is. Circle of life.
It really brought the whole day together for me.
Wow.
So that's really a special moment.
We've told this story before, but we went to see Chip Kane in the Jersey Shore once, and our old roommate Brendan, and we listened to Mike and the Mad Dog in traffic. Was it Jersey Shore or Washington?
No, Jersey Shore. Well, I don't know. We probably both. But no, Jersey Shore, because we kept doing Mike and the Mad Dog impersonations that whole weekend.
Yeah, because we were just trapped in the car listening to them for 4 hours. just imitating their voices, and then did it for the rest of the weekend. And needless to say, no romance for either of us that weekend.
No.
But we were like, that is a huge bar right there. That is huge. It's massive, humongous bar.
I mean, how I get this a drink?
All right, Johnny, next week.
All right.
The Ringers MLB show. We'll host the first one.
I'll try to force myself to watch a Yankee game between now and then.
Johnny, don't make him keep it in his pants for the Sox. I mean, it's a little embarrassing right now.
Johnny,
that's my job.
I gotta say, I'm concerned about you. A bad Yankees team in the fall of the Republican Party. I'm worried. I feel like you might have to just fly out here and come hang out with me for a week or something.
Well, I've got my wife and kids to sustain me. So
you leave them behind for a week. Yeah, that's true. You got a family. Get that going.
That's right. I got to look on the bright side.
All right. I'm glad. Right. That's good. That sounds good, Johnny. All right. We love you.
Johnny.
Talk to you later.
Take care, fellas.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, I've got my wife and kids. It's been a bad year. It's been a good year for The Ringer. 3 months ago, we launched our new newsletter, and it's been a roaring success for us. House, you're reading it, although you're ready for the real site at this point.
I am.
But the newsletter's been fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's
appetizers.
good. You know me. I'm impatient. I've had enough appetizers. I'm ready for the main course.
Would you like some more pigs in the blanket?
No, I'm done. I'm
You're
done
ready
with
for
those
a meal.
pigs.
Well,
yeah.
We're over well over 200,000 subscribers. It's been a great place to showcase our writers. For instance, we've had 2 newsletters this week that featured pieces on the NBA playoffs, Facebook, Chance the Rapper, Manny Machado, Game of Thrones, and Meghan Trainor. That's the stuff you get in our newsletters. Best of all, it's free, and it looks cool, and it would not have happened without our buddies at MailChimp. And if you are just getting started like The Ringer was, because we are started, we're approaching 50 employees, or if you're building a growing business like The Ringer is, please trust me, MailChimp makes it super easy to connect with your customers and sell more stuff. It's free to get started, no expiring trial, no credit card required. Go to MailChimp.com. Oh, and if you don't subscribe to that Ringer newsletter on MailChimp, then you won't know when we start selling Ringer swag, dope t-shirts, dope baseball shirts, caps.
Don't think for a second. I'm
getting it for free.
Getting in the
You don't
closet.
have to
No,
buy
I don't.
that stuff.
I'm not worried about the payment. I'm getting in the closet today.
You get in the closet?
I'm not walking.
Okay.
I'm not leaving here without some Ringer swag.
Well, when those are available, we'll be putting those on the newsletter as well, including Tate's special T-shirt that we're going to make for him.
Oh, no.
No, we're not really doing it. Thanks again, MailChimp. Again, go to MailChimp.com. They've been an awesome partner. You want to talk about Bryce Harper really quick?
Sure.
Is this the most fun athlete Washington has had in your lifetime?
No, because Ovechkin, for a stretch there, until he was the leader, the identity, the public face of a team that continuously loses in the second round of the playoffs, he was extremely exciting the first 5 years of his arrival in Washington. And he is, now has a legacy as a tremendous goal scorer and an all-timer in that category, just not able to get his team past the second round. I understand hockey is a team sport, blah, 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 blah. But the first half of Ovechkin's career was very exciting in Washington. And on top of that, RG3's first year was extraordinary. And Washington is, more than anything, a football town. So RG3's rookie season was stupendous. But Bryce is up there.
Bryce is up there is one of your worst takes. Just terrible.
Why, the National League MVP?
Bryce is up there. He's 23.
In his fourth year?
He's 23. He's already won an MVP. His OPS in 15 was 1.1. He's over 1,000 this year, too. Gets on base 45% of the time. Hits homers. It's fun to watch.
He's trying to make baseball fun again.
Great public ambassador for the game.
He's pissed off the old guys. He's breaking baseball code. I mean, I love the contrarian. You said, is he the best? I'm not ready to put him on.
I didn't say the best, but
I mean,
have you ever been more
players.
excited about an athlete that you've had?
The thing that
You were more excited for Robert Griffin than Bryce Harper?
I mean, they made the playoffs in Griffin's first year. It was like I have 10 years of fun football in front of me now. Like after being in a football desert, you have to understand.
Yeah, but you're basically saying the Redskins mean the most.
That's true. The DC Grudens do mean the most. But the thing about Harper that is so easy to get behind, he has come through in the playoffs. He has big balls. He's like the only he and Rendon were the only guys in that San Francisco series a couple years ago that really came to play, really showed up in that series. And he's always up for the moment, Harper. That's something that makes him very easy to love about him.
I really like him, and I think the difference with baseball in 2016 versus what we grew up with or even like what it was like when we were young adults, I would have assumed Bryce Harper was going to leave for the Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, whoever. Now the way the small market teams, the medium market teams, and the non-gigantic teams, you can keep your player. You just give him a contract 2-3 years early, like what you did with Strasburg.
Yes.
And I think Bryce Harper spends his first 15 years in Washington. I mean, maybe at some point they'll decide it won't make sense, but at some point they're just going to give him like $320 million for 10 years, right?
Oh, they could give him $500 million. I'd be fine with it.
That's just going to happen.
I don't care. Look, from your mouth to Scotty Boris's ears, this is the thing that's really interesting about Washington and the free agents. The Lerner family who owns the franchise have a relationship with Scott Boras. Yeah. And now, they got the payoff for sitting Strasburg out of the playoffs in 2012. I'll never forgive the franchise for doing that because I think it did compromise their legitimate shot at winning the World Series. Pursuing the World Series. But at least they got the payoff for it, and you were
okay with that contract?
Well, the local writer. Oh, the contract's great. What are you talking about? What, for Strasburg?
Yeah,
it's a great contract. It's cheaper than Price and the dude on the Cubs.
Right.
Yeah. So
Lester.
Yeah, Lester. Right. I mean, it's a market comparable kind of contract.
And he was a free agent this year.
After this year.
Right. So basically,
he's in his walk year. Yeah.
So basically, he grabbed the security of the 175 over getting all the way through the season, hoping you stay healthy, and then whatever. I feel like I would have done that.
Well, the real risk for somebody like Strasburg, he's been having an awesome season already, would be like another catastrophic injury.
Right.
That's the only sort of risk, and I'm sure he's insured out the wazoo against that.
But it's so tough to get big contracts like that insured because the insurance company, I mean, people have been writing about this. You'd be like, oh, I'm insured for $100 million, and then, oh, my knee got hurt, pay me the $100 million. The insurance, well, you have a predisposed, and they tried all these ways to get out of it. Well, I think Bryce is interesting though because Bryce, it's so much harder for an everyday player to get seriously hurt, right? And he could just say, you know what? Oh, they're offering me $320. I'm just gonna wait it out. I think I might be able to get $5.
Yeah, I don't think he's there. There's no question in my mind that they've had some chats. That Scotty Boras and the Lerners have had some chats.
What number would you lock up Bryce for right now?
500. I would give him 10 years, $500 million.
12 years, $500 million.
Sure, 12 years, $500 million. I
just lock him down.
$50 million a year. The baseball economics continue to trend in one direction, and it's up. All of the local TV deals continue to prove out that people like to watch regional, local baseball. Your interview with Bud Selig on Monday, all credit to him in terms of the increased interest that's been generated from the wild card.
Yeah.
So, to me, the economics, I don't pay him whatever it is. I don't care how much it costs to pay the kid. I want him around for 10 or 15 years.
I like when we talk Washington sports because sometimes the Washington Post writes about it on their sports blog. They like when national audiences talk about Washington sports.
They might leave this one out.
So now we're ranking the Nats first.
In what?
Just like in the power rankings.
Okay.
Nats first?
Sure. Yeah, of course, yes.
The DC Gruden second?
They're second.
They're second?
They're second because
Is there optimism with the DC Grudens?
I'm mad at the Caps. The Caps by performance and
You
record.
knew it was coming.
Mother F me.
You knew it was coming,
Stick it
though.
right in my rear hole.
You knew it was coming.
It's just so I'm so bitter about it though.
How did you not know it was going to happen? That's the Caps.
I mean,
That's what they do.
They, my boy Danny Steinberg has what like a Mad Libs version of Washington sports
I love that.
failure.
I saw that. It was great.
Mother, and this one he needs to add in a line for the failed Russian player, who was great all season long and then came in and sucked in the playoffs. This year it was Kuznetsov, the leading scorer for the team.
Yeah.
Scored 2 points in the playoffs. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
they're third.
They're third.
So your guard's up with them for life now.
With
With this current iteration.
It's always up. It's
No,
always
you
up.
talked yourself into it. They were dominant during the regular season. There was no great East team. You were talked in.
There was no great East team, and then there was.
And then the Pens.
Pittsburgh has been unbelievable.
When did that start? And how did we not have
January.
money on it?
Yeah, that's the latter question is the important question. I thought we had hockey friends. Where the hell is Weinberg when you need him?
Weinberger? Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew after the San Jose beat the Kings that I should bet on them to win the cup, and I didn't. And I'm kind of glad I didn't because I think Pittsburgh is just going to roll unless Crosby gets another concussion or something stupid
No,
happens.
Crosby isn't even the one. They have this third
I know.
line that's been dominant.
No, I know. But they're great. Pittsburgh's great.
They're great.
Speed is where it is in hockey
Speed
now.
kills.
The Kings weren't fast enough, and they didn't. You need speed, you need 4 defensemen, and you need a competent goalie.
That's really for the Caps what happened. They had a combination of injury, and Orpik got suspended for the cheap shot in game 1 or 2.
The Kings had 2 defensemen, and that's what sunk them. It's just too hard because you can only play your best 2 30 to 32 a game. You still got the other 28 to deal with, and they just had bad guys. So in 4th place
Oh God.
is the Wizards.
Yeah.
And you just spent $7 million a year on Scotty Brooks, which is a good way for us to go out on.
Why? So
What-
I can curse?
$7 million a year. You went from Randy Whitman to Scott Brooks. You're gonna have an entire decade of terrible NBA coaching on your team.
I don't really care about the money. You know, it's not it doesn't affect the salary cap. It's Ted Leonsis' money. He can spend it however he likes. The thing that I find challenging in terms of my fandom is they signed up Scotty Brooks before knowing what was going to shake out with the rest of the teams and the teams in the playoffs.
And like the Frank Vogel type of guys.
The coaching
Yeah.
market, Dave Jager and Frank Vogel both came available, you know, basically a week after. And the number of texts on my phone right now that say, do you think that Frank Vogel would be a good coach in Washington? How do you feel about Dave Jager? And it's like, well, we're going to roll with Scotty Brooks. We're rolling with Scotty.
For $7 million a year. Yeager got four a year in Sacramento.
Come on.
Scotty Brooks must make twice as much money as him. He's
on.
not a terrible coach.
No,
I
no,
shouldn't
no,
have
no,
said
no,
that.
no,
But, you know, I've kind of seen that play before with old Scotty. I guess the only thing I would feel half decent about is just that I thought Billy Donovan was terrible all season and actually became competent during the playoffs, and some sort of light bulb went off, and maybe that'll happen with Scott Brooks. I don't know.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Bradley Beal, banged up.
Max deal Bradley Beal.
He's going to get max deal anyway.
yeah.
He can't stay in the court.
They're going to give him a max deal anyway. He's 22.
Like 5 years, 150?
Yes.
Really?
Whatever it is.
That's
whatever
gonna go
the max
so
deal
badly
is.
with John Wall.
Well, that's what's going to happen.
Do you worry that John Wall goes to Cavs games with Rich Paul?
Look, John Wall this past season, for the first time in his time in Washington, started expressing, it was very sort of quiet, subtle, yes, but a little bit of dissatisfaction with the direction of the team and his role on the team.
Why would he not like the direction of the team? You have an incompetent front office, and they've overpaid coaches that aren't that good and don't really make any great trades. What's wrong? Why is he complaining? Is Nene coming back?
This is hurtful to me. No, Nene's not coming back.
You miss him?
They have 6 players.
You have a farewell for Nene for us?
You know what? I will not miss his missed fourth quarter free throws. That's one thing I am not going to
so
miss
long
with
for
Nene.
that. Bye, Nene.
But he did restore an air of professionalism at a moment when the franchise was at its all-time I love Johnny's use of nadir.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had Swaggy P, Nick Young, the Clown Show, McGee, and who was the other? Jordan Crawford was also part of that
a
mix.
whole bunch of those guys.
Yeah, right. We had a whole bunch of, and Andre Blatch.
Yeah.
And, I'm calling him Blotch. I know it's Blatch, but I'm calling him Blotch.
He's a Blotch on your Wizards.
That was a bad
decade.
time. And then they came, and John Wall arrived, and there was a semblance of professionalism.
You had a gun incident in your locker room.
We're not talking about it. I'm done.
Gilbert had a nice. I think Gilbert's gotten shortchanged in the history of the NBA. He had a nice little 2-year run there.
It's going to be a great,
really fun,
a great
2-3
look back
years for
story.
him. Yeah,
I mean, he was right on the brink of becoming.
So good.
He was incandescent.
So good.
He
was really fun to watch. I enjoyed him.
And then he hurt his knee.
You're probably in the lottery again next year.
Probably.
Did you have a lottery pick this year?
Phoenix got it.
For what trade?
Markieff.
Oh no.
You don't like that? Look, now they got the 13 slot, so who knows who's available at 13 and whether that will translate into somebody.
I kind of like Markieff, but why not? Why give up a first round pick for him, and yet Tobias Harris was just sitting there for free?
It's a great question. You know who I've been on this podcast 50 times begging for Channing Frye. Begging the franchise to look at Channing Frye, the franchise that wanted to rebrand itself as a space and pace and space.
Would you like a professional 3-point shooter?
A 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" guy who's awesome at the pick and roll, demonstrated, proven expertise at that, and anyway.
So would you rate this? Is this a typical Washington sports season? Slightly better than usual? Slightly worse than usual?
Typical.
Right, typical Washington.
Typical. Although, you know what? The Nats we had the Caps in the playoffs. The DC Grudens made the playoffs. I like the trajectory for the Nats, this upcoming season playoffs wise. And the almost Bullets were right on the brink of making the playoffs. I mean, it was never really serious, but they weren't that far out. But I'm just saying, we might have a season coming up here where all 4 teams in Washington. That would be a nice nut to crack.
Congratulations on almost making the playoffs. Thanks to Stamps.com. Stop relying on the post office. Buy and print official U.S. postage using your own computer and printer. Sign up for Stamps.com right now. Use the promo code BS. 4-week trial plus a $110 bonus offer that includes postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of their homepage. Type in BS. Thanks to MailChimp.com. If you're just getting started like The Ringer was, if you're building a growing business like The Ringer is, trust me, MailChimp makes it super easy to connect with your customers and sell more stuff. Free to get started, no expiring trial, no credit card required. Go to MailChimp.com and go to TheRinger.com if you want to see how cool newsletters look on MailChimp.com. Thanks to HBO. Don't forget about Any Given Wednesday launching June 22nd or After the Thrones, late Sunday nights, 1 o'clock on HBO Now, and then running on linear HBO the next night. And don't forget about our Ringer Podcast Network. That includes Shack House. With Joe House and Jeff Shackelford. And the Ringer MLB show launching next week. So get ready to subscribe to that. And we're going to have some good people on that one, too. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you.
Podcast 100.
Oh, and thanks to Joe House.
Podcast 100.
We kept it 100 on
Started
100.
from the bottom. Now we're here.
100.
October the 1st to May 19th. Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Started in the back of my house, and now we're actually in an office with a cardboard cutout of Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse staring at us.
Yeah,
so
Ringer.
we made it. All right. Thanks for the first 100. Thanks for everybody for spreading the word. Talk to you tomorrow.
Anytime y'all want to see me again, rewind this track right here, close your eyes, and picture me rolling.